God, really, Morishi? Why? Why do you have to be... Good lord. If you only knew who that was, Morishi, you would not go about doing that. And even then, you're... Yeah. Why? Why? Hey, is this your tongue, buddy? Get back! Get back! The girl's missing an eye. All we've got is a tongue. Is that going to be enough? What do? We give her a tongue just like the headless girl. Yeah! Yeah, we get the idea. You're kind of crying over your long-lost tongue. Don't worry about it. The girl lowers her head and begins rocking slowly back and forth. Yuki Kano? This is for you. It's yours, isn't it? Offer the spirit Yuki's tongue. Thank you. Thank you very much. Pent. We did it. We did it, Shinozaki. All three of them. All that's left is one. No more! No more! Every time I talk to those ghosts, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to death myself. Do you have any idea what it's like? Keep picturing how I'll look when I'm dead. I'm not even trying. It just pops into my head all on its own, and it's such a horrible image. I just want to go home. I want to go home. Back to my mom, my sister, and Mochita. Shinozaki. Alright, next one is mine then, okay? So just try and pull yourself to... What? God damn it, not again. This one's big too. Meek. There. Was I knocked out? Where am I? Huh? Wait. Is this our classroom? No fooling. It is our classroom. We're back in the real world, but how? Shinozaki! Hey, wake up! She's breathing, at least. Shinozaki, come on, wake up already. Kishinuma? Pant. Huh? What? Take a look around you. I can hardly believe it myself. But here we are. No way. We're back. For real? Is this really our school? If it isn't, it's one sick joke. It's really real. Check it out. Here's my desk. Mine too. It's right here. Can't believe it. It's true. Yeah, we made it. We're home. We're home. Yay. Suck on that, world. We're back in our own world. Yay. So, sup. Never thought I'd live to see home again. Nor would I. But it looks like there's no Satoshi or Miss Yui or anyone else for that matter, huh? Wonder if they made it out on... Alright. Venturing out in search of others, you find that even the janitor has likely gone home. The lights are out and the halls are pitch black. Only the red glow of the light next to the fire extinguisher offers any respite from the quaint, quiet darkness of the school hallway. Standing around in the darkened corridors of our school building at 8 o'clock in the evening, it just feels so surreal. As the thunder and rain grow in intensity, the windows begin to condensate with moisture, turning white in contrast to the corridor sea of black. Is this reality? Was everything up until now just a dream? Where am I right now? And what am I doing? Eek! I knew it was too good to be true. Hey, it's Shinozaki, what's wrong? Yeah. What? What the hell is this? It's not over, is it? Why isn't it over? Why? Damn it. It's you. No. Go back. Don't come any closer. Ha! It was a rainy evening after school, just like this one. On the day I was kidnapped. I remember I had a fight with my mom that morning. And why is she telling us this? I have no idea. I didn't want to see her face. So after school, I decided that instead of going home, I'd park myself in the outdoor walkway for a little and watch the rain. That's when Mr. Yoshikazu showed up. He sat down next to me. I told him all about my fight with Mom, and he listened really closely and just kept saying, uh-huh. He was sick and couldn't speak much, you see, but he was a very kind man. I really liked him. But then... You two are nice people. I'm so sorry. She's so tiny. She must be 5th grader? Yuki Kano, right? Ah. Thank you for what you did back there. For making the effort to help those of us who were killed in that school. Didn't we succeed, though? So why are you still here? No, you didn't. But we returned your tongues. We gave you back your ability to speak out. And we even got your murderer to repent for what he did. Is it just that you can't forgive him no matter what? Appeasing us isn't about forgiveness. It doesn't matter if we forgive him or not. Repentance is between the criminal and the victim. It is the sole act capable of moving us. And we exist as fragments of the sacred ground upon which heavenly host is sealed. I believe that moving us is your best course of action. But it is not enough. His repentance just wasn't enough. So you're saying his words, the words spoken by the doll, weren't good enough to appease you? That's not... Huh? So, what then? Why do you feel the need to trap one innocent stranger after another in that godforsaken place? You child spirits are the ones who summoned us there, aren't you? That's not true. The hell do you mean by that? We're just the cogs that hold the closed spaces together. But you killed Suzumoto, didn't you? Wait. Huh? Let's hear her out. I'm just glad I was able to get even the two of you back to safety. Why the hell are you suddenly so concerned about us? I heard about a situation like this from my sister once. A lost soul whose life was ended violently and abruptly, leaving her with a mountain of worries and regrets. It's kind of like stopping short at the edge of madness, with all sorts of thoughts and feelings swirling around in your head. Your kindly nature and your sudden hatred and panic began to spin around and around, and you just started acting out without any sort of control. Your sister some kind of medium or something? Yeah, something like that. So what are you saying is this little girl and the creepy little girl we met before are two sides of the same coin? I feel for you, I really do. So please, please bring the rest of them back. Mochida, Miss Yui, and everyone else too. Bring them all back home. Come on, you can do it, right? I don't think that's possible anymore. Why not? Those closed spaces have eaten a lot of innocent souls. Far too many, in fact. The grudges of those who died there have filled every last corner of them. There's no room left. And because the agony and pain has nowhere else to go, it's begun feeding on the minds and souls like us who are bound there. It won't be long before I turn back into a vengeful spirit who attacks people like you without mercy. So, we're going to lose you as an ally then? So why don't you just hurry up and bring them home right now? Isn't there any way for us to save Mochida and the others? There may be one way. What is it? I think you already know. You have to return to the closed spaces. Find all four of us Heavenly Host serial kidnapping and murder victims, and put us all to rest. Then the closed spaces won't have their cogs anymore, so they'll begin to fall apart. And you just might get your friends back. You expect us to go back? And this time, instead of just having one person left to appease, we have to go back to the drawing board and appease all four of you? Why? Couldn't you tell us the reason our previous efforts weren't good enough? What is there to hide? It's just something I don't want to remember. But if you really want to know, I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything that happened. Yuki's spirit gently took hold of Yumi's hand, and in an instant their two beings seemed to merge together into a single mind. What's going on? Shinozaki! It hurts! Ah! Yeah! Huh? What happened to me? Didn't I pass out? So why am I fully aware right now? I can't see a thing, and I can't move. It's like that feeling you get when you're really tired. Sleep paralysis, I think. Where? Why can't I move? Sachiko Shinozaki, a little girl in the red dress, and the only survivor of the horrific murders that occurred in Heavenly Host Elementary School. Following the incident, Sachiko's family fled from the area, moving to another prefecture to escape the frightful memories that remained here. Strangely, however, I've been unable to locate any other records of the Shinozaki family. No matter where I look, the only information I can find out about them comes from newspaper reports on the Heavenly Host's murders. Granted, when an elementary school becomes the stage for a grisly incident such as this, perpetrated by none other than the principal's own son, it stands to reason that the scandal would serve as a primary focus for public interest, with all other details fading into the background. So, of course, after learning that Sachiko was safe, further news of her whereabouts was largely ignored in favor of the media circus surrounding the school. But there's more to it than that. People weren't just uninterested in learning Sachiko's history or whereabouts. There was simply no data to be had. I guess I can't move my body because of sleep paralysis. I guess. But I can clearly see the room I'm in now. There's one boy and two girls here, aside from myself. I recognize them. They're the children that were killed in Heavenly Host during that instance, but they're still alive. Unfortunately, they're all bound in hand and foot and just sprawled out on the floor, and so am I. That's the real reason I can't move. Ah! Ah! Somebody, please save me. Gah! Ah! No, stop! Please, no! Her eyes. Yeah, no, I can't see. Now I'm blindfolded. I can't see the thing that's happening to me. And since my hands and feet are tied up, I can't remove the blindfold either. That just makes everything so much worse. I guess because I can't see, I began to listen more intently. Frightened, sobbing. The helpless cries of the other children echo off the walls in the cramped room. I'm so scared. Feels like my head's going to explode. What are you doing to me? Why am I blindfolded? Untie me. Cut the ropes. I want to be able to use my hands and feet. Please. Please. I kept begging and pleading, but all I heard in response was the man walking away from me. In order, okay. In order? Yeah. Okay. I've never heard screaming like this before. It's pure, primal terror, cutting through the air like a perfect sine wave. It's the boy at the end. It feels like he's been screaming for an eternity. I think he's being killed right now. My God, what the hell is he doing to him? No one deserves this. Why isn't God allowing him to fall unconscious so he doesn't have to suffer? It's been at least a half an hour now. Those inhuman screams of a young boy being ripped apart from the inside have finally come to a halt. No! No! Without even a single moment of silence, the first of the girls in line next scream for her life, and the symphony goes on. Gurgle. God, I can't take any more of this. losing my mind. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Is it still going on? Come on, just die already. And die already? God, what is wrong with me? You know what? I don't care. Just get it over and leave me in peace. Finally, after hearing a sound like a heavy object being dropped, the noises stopped and the room grew quiet again. Those footsteps are getting closer. All my hair standing on end at this point. Everything below my stomach feels like it's frozen, like I've suddenly been stricken with severe diarrhea. In order? God, why am I relieved by the silence? The kid next to me just died. Which means it's my turn now. Someone's got me by the hair. They're pulling my head up and taking off my blindfold, which means I get to see the face of my killer. The 4 missing children were found in a basement room at Hemley House Elementary School, unused and officially sealed since the building's construction. When authorities entered, they were greeted with an inhumanely horrific sight. Based upon the evidence at hand, the murder weapon was determined to be a pair of large sewing scissors found in the hands of the accused. Investigators suspected some hesitation on the man's part, however, as the deceased victim's wounds did not indicate that his full strength had been used. Nonetheless, he had clearly acted with extreme malicious intent. The official cause of death for the 3 murdered children has been listed as loss of blood following removal of the tongue. But the actual state of affairs was not quite so clinical, or even so pleasant, if you can believe it. The following details have been extrapolated from information previously unreleased to the public, or at least previously unreported by news outlets. These details of the crime are based on the official police testimony of Shichiko Zinozaki herself. Evidently, the victims were bound, blindfolded, and spaced out on the floor, then killed one by one. One was repeatedly stabbed in the abdomen with the aforementioned pair of scissors, then had many of his internal organs forcefully dug out. His discarded innards were found partially buried beneath the earthen floor of the basement room. Another was stabbed in the head dozens upon dozens of times, to such an extent that all flesh and bone above her jawline was essentially minced away. With my blindfold removed, the sight of that appeared before me was more horrific than anything I could possibly have imagined. The person staring back at me, brandishing a blood-soaked pair of sewing scissors, wasn't the large man from earlier at all. It was one of the children. It was a little girl, her face dyed red with the blood of her victims. She was staring intently at me with soulless gray eyes, and then she just started giggling. Ah! She was opening and closing the bloodied scissors over and over again, and the sound kept echoing through the room. Then she took those dull, rusty, thoroughly blood-soaked blades and slowly brought them closer and closer to my left eye. Yeah! How? Why? Why is it you? No! 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 Ah! The third victim was stabbed in the left eye, an indeterminate number of times, until her eyeball became soup-like in consistency. She was eventually just left like that, slowly bleeding to death in horrible agony. Strangely, it was only after these mutilations had already been inflicted that the killer went back and severed the victims' tongues. Learning the truth about these proceedings is shocking, even to me, and makes it nearly impossible to accept the murderer as anything but a monster. And bearing witness to every moment of this was a 7-year-old girl named Shachiko. In many ways, she's the most pitiable and long-suffering of them all. But it wasn't through her tearful, frightened testimony that Yoshikazu Yanagihori was officially charged. Now, going back to the hunt for information on this unfortunate girl's whereabouts, it was her words that ultimately led to Yoshikazu's sentencing. Therefore, it comes to no real surprise that sensitive information pertaining to her and her family would be withheld. That's to be expected. What's not expected, however, is that there's not even the slightest trace of this information left to find. It's as if they simply never existed. Therefore, I cannot help but consider alternate possible explanations. And I remind you, this is merely conjecture. But one question keeps nagging at the back of my mind. Was Yoshikazu Yanagori really the murderer of these three victims? Is it possible that the crime was not actually perpetrated by him at all? Think about it. In his final days, Yoshikazu was incapable of communicating with others through speech. And despite his childlike reversion, he had always been a personable and friendly man. As the saying goes, he wouldn't have hurt a fly. All of his relatives, friends, and neighbors confirmed as much, shocked to hear that such a kindly man could commit these unconscionable atrocities. He certainly had no motive for the crime either. There was nothing for him to gain from it. And then again, he may have simply lost his mind. And look at his father. It was around the same time that Principal Takamine Yanagihori suddenly began speaking in tongues and acting in a most peculiar way. Not to mention scribbling incomprehensible gibberish all over his walls as if possessed. He seemed frightened of someone and would often be found crouching in the corner of his office, moaning and thrashing when the visitors came by. If he could wind up in such a beleaguered state with no warning, then perhaps so too could his son. I believe that we're looking at a curse far more powerful than anything man could devise. From the time it opened its doors to the day it closed them forever. Heavenly Host Elementary School's sealed basement room has existed as some form of cursed ground. And to find the underlying cause, we must go back beyond the infamous kidnapping and murder incident. Back a whole 20 years. I believe I may have found a clue that could shed some light on the situation. It may be a bit far-fetched as leads go, but it's a lead nonetheless. Regrettably, since Heavenly Host was not only closed down, but demolished altogether, and another school built in its place, it's no longer possible to investigate the basement room directly. But my protege has found what may be the next best thing. Something that could make the impossible possible once more. Preparations are being made to pursue this lead even now. Be sure not to miss this next installment. It may be the scoop of a lifetime. Kyo Kabiki, 2003, July 22nd. Continued in Chapter 5.